съм с пълто, така че...
Добре, без.
Аз после ще се влека да направиш пресечки, но сам е студен.
Добре.
Okay, so Mr. Russell, welcome to Bulgaria first. Now I understood that this is not your first time here.
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. I've been here numerous times before, but officially for this type of event, this is our fourth event here now in Sofia, and they've run quite successfully for us in the past.
Why now is different than the other?
Mostly because I suppose we've brought in a company called Defence Consulting, which I'm very grateful for to be working with. They're a newly formed consulting company based here in Sofia, and I believe that they will bring a higher level of professionalism into the event in terms of giving these kids opportunities outside of the country.
So you already have impression on the Bulgarian players. Is there a basketball talent in Bulgaria?
Absolutely. I think there's a high level of athletes here in Bulgaria, and in many cases with many sports in many different countries, not just Bulgaria, where there is talent, athletic talent, they quite often have to go outside of their home country to realise that potential. And in that case, Bulgaria is no different.
What will be the main points of your work during these 2 days?
Well, it's essentially to try and identify athletic talent as young as possible that we can bring into our academy in Dublin to develop and I suppose nurture and bring on to a different level. I mean, the training that's available in the academy, it gives is brought to the kids through various different international coaches, in the sense that they get the opportunity to train 4 hours a day, and they're put on specific types of development programs to suit their athletic potential, with a view to opening doors down the road in their careers as well. And as I had mentioned earlier, it's I suppose it's not just about basketball; it's about opening doors for the kids in various different aspects of their lives, to go on to, I suppose, university scholarships or into professional basketball, depending on where their objectives lay.
What are the most important advice that you're saying to the young players?
Be themselves and not be trying to do anything that they're, stick to their strengths, I suppose, is the most important. We can generally tell after a number of hours in terms of who could be high-level prospects and who can't. Although the event is run over the course of 2 days, it gives I suppose the format of the event is very simple in terms of it gives the players the opportunity to excel to show what they're capable of, as opposed to coming to the event to actually get better as a basketball player. That's not what it's geared towards. It's an exposure event essentially to allow the players to show their talents, an interview in every sense of the word.
You have already helped of our players, young players, Kiko Stavrev and Spasnikov. Tell us about your work with them.
Well, it was in the case of those two particular players, it was very simple. I came to Sofia, we ran the event. Kiko Stavrev was the first player, one of the first players that we brought from Sofia. Again, was one of the players that probably would have underachieved in terms of his athletic potential here in Bulgaria for many different reasons, mostly because he was unlucky with injuries. He was able to come into the academy environment, train for 4 hours a day, get onto a specific type of development program, and within, I think, 6 months of being in the academy, he made the national team under 20s and then went on and won a very high level scholarship to American University in Weber State. So he's the prime example of the type of player that we would look to bring and also send on to bigger and better opportunities outside of what we can provide.
How NABA is special and different from the other basketball academies?
Good question. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to be modest about. We have a lot to offer. I mean, first and foremost, we have world-class facilities. We have EuroLeague level training facilities based in the heart of Dublin. It's also based in what is soon to be the only EU country that is English speaking. And obviously the English language is a big part of it, the development as well, because if the kids are looking to go on to the United States, they need to be able to be fluent in the English language, to study in the English language. and that's a big focus on what we do as well. In terms of the training, we have very good connections with the United States. We have American coaches on the ground, and also Spanish coaches on the ground in Dublin. So in terms of the level of coaching and the opportunities that we can provide as outlets through our network in the United States, it very much differentiates it from other academies around Europe, around the world for that matter.
No matter with whom I'm talking, everybody is saying that their main goal of the players, I mean, is United States. It is still there, but it looks like that the United Kingdom and Ireland and so many academies, they give great base, great first step for the education of United States. Why do you think it's like that?
Well, I suppose the main connection would be obviously the English language, both the English-speaking countries, and that has to be first and foremost, because if the kids can't speak English going into university, they're not going to get into university. They have to get a minimum requirement on the TOEFL exam. They also have to sit an SAT and ACT. There's a very range of different NCAA clearinghouse process procedures that they need to meet, and all of that is done through the English language. Also, geography is a big part of it. I mean, we are essentially very, very connected to the USA. We're closest to the USA from geographical terms. In terms of the influence that the USA has on both countries, it will be high as well. But as you say, 99% of the kids that we interview, because we interview the kids as well that we want to bring on, to make sure that they're the right character to go on to these opportunities, and that they want it. They basically, I suppose, they all say that 99% of them say they want to go to the USA, but quite often have no idea what it takes to get there. And also the percentages of opportunity or kids that actually go are very, very low. But what the academies provide is a very, very valuable recruiting ground for college coaches in the USA, as they come in and are invited in on a regular basis into the academies to see the talent that's on the ground, and they get first-hand exposure to college coaches in the USA. In addition to that, the academies like NABA go on exposure tours. Like we'll go on a 14-day exposure tour across the United States in February, and that gives the players again first-hand exposure to the States.
You have been working as a FIBA agent for 15 years. Is that true?
7 years. 7 years. 7 years. Yes. Officially as a FIBA agent, 7 years. And I've travelled the world with it, and I'm very, very lucky to have done so. I mean, that small orange ball has brought me to corners of the earth that I've never would have dreamed that, as far as way to Canada and the USA to India, which was a very interesting experience. So yes, I've been lucky.
How does the work with young basketball players have been changing during these 7 years? Is it a difference between the time that you started working with young basketball players and now?
It hasn't really, because from the time we started, it worked. And when I started, I'm a firm believer, if it's not broken, don't try and fix it. So what we've been doing has been working for us, it's been working for the players. It's a very, very simple model, as I'm going to explain to the parents now, in terms of what we will do here over the next 2 days. So in many ways we haven't changed it a lot. We went and got a much higher level, more professional approach in terms of bringing in companies like Defence Consulting in different countries to run the events, which allows us to just show up and focus on the development of the players and the recruitment of the players. So in that sense, it's really the professionalism of everything that we're doing is the biggest factor that has changed over the years.
How it happened like that to start working for FIBA as an agent?
How did it happen? Yeah. I remember coaching my son's team a number of years ago. He was under 10s at the time, and I had 20 kids in front of me, 9-year-olds in front of me. And I was really trying to make an impact in terms of changing the way kids and way things were being done in the area. And I really didn't feel like I was making a big enough impact in terms of the influence I was having on the game, having on those kids that were standing in front of me. So I started looking at different ways of doing that, and registering and becoming certified by FIBA as a FIBA agent allowed me the opportunity to go and travel internationally to see what was going on in various different academies around the world. And that's where I learned a lot about the game, I learned a lot about various different styles of coaching, of different training methods, and the way things should really be done. So hence I set up the academy 4 years ago in Dublin, where I've essentially pulled all the best of all the various different academies from the United States, Canada, UK, Spain, Italy, and brought the best of everything into Dublin.
You said that basketball brought you to very exotic places. I think that this week from FIBA came the news that the next host of the World Championship will be 3 different countries that are not quite connected with basketball. Actually, it wouldn't be our first choice. And this year the European Championship was in 3 different countries that weren't connected. So what do you think of this politic of FIBA?
I don't necessarily think it's down to the politics of FIBA. I think it's about FIBA endeavouring to develop the game in areas where it's not established. I think the main focus for FIBA would be in terms of where they're placed in the European Championships and various different competitions, is definitely about the development of the game in those countries. I mean, it makes sense in every sense of the word, from my perspective, to try and develop the game in those countries, in the smaller nations, where otherwise it's not a very popular sport. It might be second or third. I mean, for example, we had the European Championships under 18s in Dublin this summer gone, where the ladies, our under 18s girls, did very, very, very well. They finished second to Germany in the final and got promoted to the A division. But what the benefit to the game in the country as a result of holding the championships in Ireland has been huge, because it created a buzz about the game. And the game at the moment in Ireland is very much probably ranked number 5 in terms of where it is on the ladder of most popular sports. So bringing the championships to minority countries is very much a clever move by FIBA.
How do you see the future of basketball?
I would be the eternal optimist, and I would predict that it will soon become the #1 sport in the world.
Okay, thank you.